Hi everyone, Melissa Ullman here, the Creative Chatterbox. Glad you could join me today. So I have this layout for us this week that I am going to show you how to create. So we're going to jump right in. The biggest thing that you need is the jumbo circle, and you're going to want your red blade. Also, you're very important, you're going to need an insert sheet. If you don't have an insert sheet that you've saved, you can use any piece of paper or cardstock. It's going to be fully covered. So again, this would be the best. And then you're just going to want leftovers from any collection that you have. So any long 12-inch strips, and then you'll want one piece of cardstock. All right, so we're going to start by cutting our circle. So you're going to need your jumbo custom cutting circle, and you're going to want your red blade. That's the only blade that we're going to be needing. And this is, let's see, our piece of paper we've got. And with this circle, I can pick any, patterned paper, etc. And it probably would be best if you use something that is less directional. So, this is somewhat, but not so much. So I am going to center this on this piece of paper, and I've centered the piece of paper on my cutting mat. So I'm just going to make sure there's roughly about 1/2 inch around the sides there. And then I am going to cut on the outside with the red blade, and then on the inside with the red blade. So the collection that I am using to show you this today is the Something Blue collection. That is our current wedding collection. And it's got papers that are, not specific necessarily to wedding. But the reason why I use this particular piece of paper, again, because it was non-directional, the back side says love, but I centered it on here so that you could potentially use this on another project. I am not going to be using this. This also could be a nice piece that you could use for a companion page, but we're not going to be using that. We are going to set that aside. All right, so that is all you are going to need your custom cutting mat for. And then we have our piece of paper here. So on the back side, you'll see it's the Relax into Summer insert sheet, but it doesn't matter, just an insert sheet from any of your collections. And then you'll just kind of gently center this on there. And then I'm gonna just lift up each side and just put just a tad bit of repositionable adhesive just under these two sides. Then we are going to take our trimmer and we are going to be cutting several strips of paper that are 1 inch wide. So I'm going to start with about 10, and then so these are all like excess pieces of paper, right, from other projects that I have created. It's what's left over. So I'm just going to cut 1 inch strips from what I have left. Okay, so I'll turn that over, just kind of looking at the different varieties of paper that I am going to, or patterns, etc., colors. So, and I'll cut 2 of that, being I have just enough room there. Okay. This is my favorite piece of paper out of this collection. The navy with the floral on it, love. And then the back side is this blue, which I also love. Okay. So these pieces are going to be used vertically. And so when you're cutting them, you'll keep that in mind for your vertical placement. You could also do this project with horizontal. So you will see here, the strips are all going vertical. You could rotate it and do them horizontal as well. That is totally up to you. This sample here, being I'm showing you, is used using the Vintage Sheet collection, and I actually pulled out embellishments, etc. from other collections. I think some of this is from a secret box. So because this collection does not have any specific elements, stickers, titles, etc. to it. So I just went to my stash to see what I could find. Let's see, I got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Let's maybe cut one more to start with, and we can come back if we need to. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take any one of these strips, and I literally am just going to put a little bit of adhesive here on the bottom. So I'm going to take and tuck this under the ring here, and I'm going to slide it as far over as I possibly can here to this edge, okay, on the circle. So you see I'm just lining that up. Then I'm just going to lift this and put some repo there at the top. Now you see I went under on this side with this strip. I am not feeling like maybe this piece is completely straight. So to ensure that it is straight, I'm going to put this on my mat just to make sure. And it looks like I'm about 1 1/5 down here. So I want to then go to like 1 5/8 up here. So I need to just slide that over a hair down here so that when it's straight, there's no gap here is what I'm trying to eliminate. So 1, go. There we go. All right. I'll maybe put just a hair behind that there. All right, so you see I tucked it under down here. So my next piece now, I am going to go over here. So I'll just put a little bit of adhesive down there at the bottom. And then I'll put a little bit here in the center. If I don't, these will eventually bubble. And then on the top, I'm gonna go underneath, okay? So you see I've got underneath at the top and then over at the bottom. So you're just gonna continue to go opposite of each one. So now here I went over. So on this one, I'm gonna go under at the bottom and over at the top. So I will just lift this, put a little bit of adhesive. So it's best for you to use your repositionable when you are adhering here. So we'll put just a couple here. There we go. So we're just going to continue to do this. So that, let's see, let's maybe go with the light blue next here. So this one, we're gonna go over the top. And we'll just continue to do this. And I wanna show you once we get to the end to ensure that the strips are all lined up like they should be. Okay, so then we'll just that, okay, and it looks like this one is weaving just a little bit, so I'm going to just lift it, and there we go. Okay, and then this one will go underneath here and over at the top. We'll lift this. Okay, just let it fall kind of in place. There we go. So I'm just going to continue on with this. This strip here, the hearts are sideways on it. I am really not worried about it because once we add our mats at the top, it is not going to matter at all. So then the top of this one will go under. All right, so we kind of have the illusion of the circle, the jumbo circle behind it. So we can go over the top of that one. All right. Oops. I'll do this one over the top. Under. Okay, so if we don't have a piece that exactly fits in here to the edge of the circle, then we are going to cut a new piece that is going to fit. So I'm going to just measure, and it looks like it's 1 inch exactly. So let me see here if I'm able to get this under and keep it straight. And it looks like I'm going to be able to do that no problem. And then I'm right at the edge of the circle. You may need to cut a new strip so that it aligns exactly at the edge there. But we got lucky with this one. And it might just mean like cutting that strip 1 1/8 or something like that. So there we go. Okay, so now I have this full inside. Now I'm going to cut strips, and I'm going to lift the sides here, and I'm going to place this underneath. Okay, so I'm going to need some more strips. Go ahead and cut a couple more. And I'm going to use this one on the back. And then we'll do this one here. We've got a lot of that, a couple strips of that. So we'll do this one. And then how about this one? I'm not sure if we have this one anywhere on there yet, so we'll add that to it. Okay, so now I am going to take, like I said, and just adhere this, lifting that side that we put repo under at the very beginning, and we'll just lift that, and then come over here on the left and do the same thing, lifting this side up, placing it under so it aligns with the previous. Okay, and then we have just, you know, a 1/2 to 1/4 of an inch left on the side. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and put adhesive on the strip there, and then I'm going to place your piece of paper so it aligns. Actually, I did it over the top on this one, so that last kind of bit of the circle is slightly covered up. And then over here, you know what? I think I'm going to do this green, so we're not going to need this one at all. And then I will go ahead and add adhesive on the edge of the insert sheet. Okay. There we go. All right. So now what we're going to do is we'll take our trimmer, and you'll see here on the back, I just go off slightly. So I'm going to take and cut off that paper that is overhung on the edge on both sides. So anything that is overhung there. There we go. All right. Then I'm going to turn it back over. Oops, I didn't get this one under the, fix that here before we start cutting. I will just go under the edge there. There we go. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to cut 1/4 of an inch off of all 4 sides. So I'll start here at the top. And 1/4 of an inch on the Creative Memories trimmer is to the edge of the gray mat. So we'll just go, like I said, all 4 sides. Just remember what side you're on so you don't end up cutting too much from one of the sides. And then our last one here. All right, so this now measures 11.5 by 11.5. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my navy cardstock and I am going to cut out a frame from it. I'm going to gut it, and this allows us to use make the most use out of our papers and cardstock. So I'm going to place it, I'm going to cut a 1 1/4 inch frame. So I've placed the edge at 1 1/4, and then there is 1 inch from here to the edge, and this is where the blade punctures. So I want to make sure the edge of this is at 2 1/4. So I'm puncturing here at 1 1/4. And then I'll just drag this down to 11 3/4 while putting pressure. The edge of this, I'm sorry, the edge is at 11 3/4, so that means this line is at 10 3/4. Okay, so I'm going to continue to do the same thing on all 4 sides. So you see that's going to end up gutting this and leaving a nice frame that we are going to be using as our base. Okay, so you see here we have our base for our layout. Now I'm going to take and center this, placing it on the top of that. So unfortunately, repositionable adhesive is just not strong enough to hold all of this on. So there's paper and then there's paper on top of it. So we've got a couple of layers. And then you're just going to apply adhesive along the outside edge. There's no need for us to put anything in the center because there's nothing in the center here for it to adhere to. So again, we'll just go all the way around. There we go. And then we'll center this on our frame, our 1 1/4 inch frame. So you're going to end up with about 1/4 of an inch all the way around on the outside. And like I said, we could very easily rotate this so our strips are horizontal instead of vertical. And because we have our heart pattern here, so now our hearts are right side up, and so I'm going to go ahead and do this one horizontally. for my mats, I'm going to take what's left from the inside piece and I'm going to cut 3 mats from this that measure 4 by 4. And I'm not going to cut any more or going to add any more mats to this, because if we add too many, then it takes away from that layered design that we have created. And then you won't see that circle around the outside edges here. So I literally am just going to take this and angle my mat just slightly. So you see here, I'll do the same thing. And then if I want to stay in this one, I can. Do I want to, you know, slightly come down on this one and tuck it? I can do that as well. Maybe I want to come up one, so I'm not so heavy on the bottom. You know what's really gonna work nicely for you to lift these to tuck is your all-purpose tool. Okay, so you see we've just got it slightly angled. And now this one, I can do this with, so I'm slightly angled under there. Okay. So I'm going to have a photo here and a photo here. Then this is going to allow for any elements, any stickers, etc. So once I get it in place, I'm going to hold it and then just put some adhesive below it just to keep those mats held in place. There we go. And also what I did on the one that I have created is I double matted it. So I have a double mat. So the photo sizes for this are going to be 3.5 by 3.5 based off of this. My mat sizes here are 4 by 4 and 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. So I do kind of like the whole double matted look. So I am going to take, this one is a more neutral piece of paper. So I'm going to take this and cut 3 that are 3 3/4 by 3 3/4 to go ahead and double mat that with. See here, I'm just going to add those mats. I just feel like when I do this, that it really allows those photos then to pop off of, where if I put the photos with the direct to the navy cardstock, depending on if it's a photo that's light or dark, will not necessarily show up the best. So I am going to go ahead and place these double mats so it accentuates the photos a little bit that you're going to be adding to this. All right, so that is our basic base, and then if you want, you can go in and add stickers and embellishments, etc. So I'm going to go in and add some embellishments. I love this car, but I also might have some actual embellishments. So I'm just going to kind of look through here. I've also got some flowers that I could use. I'm just looking through my... So I'm going to go ahead and complete this. I will add embellishments and then post a picture on my Facebook page for you. So I hope that you have enjoyed this technique, and I look forward to seeing what you've created using it. Also, if you like classes like this, where there is a decorative element, a technique, etc. that's taught, I do offer them a monthly subscription. You can find that information on my website, which is www.thecreativechatterbox.com. And we'd love to have you. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. That will help me continue to be able to share ideas like this with you. Love and blessings, my friends, and we will create again soon.